Another annual ritual of this great country of ours is spring break. East Coasters flock to Daytona Beach and Fort Lauderdale, but California lifters flock to the desert of Palm Springs, especially the weekend of the Palm Springs Bodybuilding Expo.
Spring break in Palm Springs. Traditionally, this is where frenzied crowds gather to show off their bodies and to watch as others strut their stuff up and down Palm Canyon Drive, proudly displaying the results of strict diets and weight training programs. No better a time and place for the Palm Springs Bodybuilding Expo. But the hard bodies who showed up for this event weren't there just to party, but to go to work, even the teenagers. Second in the teenage women was 18-year-old Alona Wilde in her first show ever. Also a former powerlifter and track athlete, this 5'1", 117-pounder from Palm Desert attends College of the Desert in Palm Springs. Winning the teen women's class was a former track and basketball athlete, 19-year-old Donna Garza from Indio. At 5'2" and 127 pounds contest shape, Donna is only 3 pounds away from her off-season weight, training 6 days a week. And in her first year of competition, this college sophomore has it all ahead of her. Third place in the teenage men's class was John Simm from Thousand Palms. A college freshman, he got into bodybuilding because, in his opinion, it's the healthiest sport. John's trained as a bodybuilder for 2 years, but had been working out for football since he was 13. We can expect great things down the line from John. Winning the teenage men's class was San Diego's Orion Nathan Barca, or Ozzy as his buddies call him. The 18-year-old former track athlete and gymnast had just won the Teenage San Diego and seemed to have enough energy to win 10 contests. He plans to move on to the Teen Nationals. Normally, novice classes don't provide the same audience thrills as the open classes. But when 27-year-old Nadia Yanni hit the stage, all that changed. She took the novice lightweight and overall awards and will certainly do well in the open ranks. Second in the women's lightweights was Cardiff by the Sea's Dawn Blackledge, a one-time competitive gymnast and skier. She's been training off and on for 15 years after beginning to train to release stress. Like many bodybuilders, Dawn is also a personal trainer, although she's working toward her master's degree in child development. Winning the lightweight class was a 36-year-old teacher who had won the novice lightweight class last year, San Clemente's Sue Farmer. A former dancer with 3 sons, she's been training only 18 months and competing for 12. As she continues to train, she'll no doubt keep improving. Runner-up in the middleweights was 29-year-old Theresa Stott, a computer operator from Moore Park. Once an aerobic instructor, she grew bored with having an aerobic toned body and took up bodybuilding to fulfill her need to excel. Theresa has only been competing for 2 years, but her background in track and field no doubt helped her in bodybuilding. Taking top honors in the middleweight division was 29-year-old Carol Leon from Santa Monica, a former champion in such diverse sports as gymnastics, volleyball, and marathons. She originally began bodybuilding to rehabilitate an injury sustained during her career as a competitive cyclist.
I find that I'm a much better athlete, much better competitor, and much smarter now learning what I have through bodybuilding than I was in any of the other sports I competed in.
Third in the heavyweights was a model from Bakersfield, 30-year-old Shirley Easton. A former all-around athlete, she began bodybuilding in order to gain body weight. And at 6'3", Shirley may be the tallest female bodybuilder in the world.
I like the fact that I'm the tallest, being 6'3". When I first watched one of the Ms. Olympia shows back in, I think, 82 or 83, they made reference to a girl who was 5'7" and a half, and she was an Amazon in the sport of bodybuilding. And I thought, well, if she's an Amazon at 5'7", what would that make me at 6'3"? Let's find out.
Taking the heavyweight and overall titles was El Cajon's Julie Kapelchak in her 4th bodybuilding competition. A former competitive swimmer and volleyball player, Julie's boyfriend had asked her to let him train her for 2 years. Whatever he did, it must have worked because this was her 2nd win this season with many more to follow. Winning the men's light heavyweight class was Everett Johnson of Carson. Weighing a ripped 195 on his 6-foot frame, he's only been training 3 years. Everett is a fisherman and a snow skier, but his #1 recreation is bodybuilding. He plans to compete next year as a heavyweight. Winning the heavyweight and overall was former Mr. Arizona Rusty Jeffers. He began bodybuilding 9 years ago because, as he puts it, I was better at training for sports than I was at playing them. So after training just a year, Rusty became Mr. Teen Arizona, a title he held twice. Rusty was thick at 5'8" and 201 pounds and plans on competing as a light heavyweight in the USA mixed pairs with his fiancée, Francie. The Palm Springs Bodybuilding Expo had more muscular flesh in one auditorium than did the entire party scene around it in Palm Springs, and should continue to be a premier NPC event. We'll see you here next year for Spring Break.